40 years ago, my parents came to this country for a better opportunity. They came to the United States because they believed in what America stands for, opportunity being the main thing, and so they came here to study. They came from Taiwan, and I am grateful for all that they have done for me and my sister. You know, without them, we wouldn't have had the opportunities that we have had. And my mom has been just a huge, huge supporter. And when I was in elementary school, my mom actually was a regular volunteer in the classroom. And I was thinking about that actually with the Bog School. You know, she was there, I don't know, on a weekly basis, daily basis. She was there a lot. She gave us her spelling test. She helped us with a lot of different things. And she really showed me how important a quality education is and how important it is to give back to your community. And so I'm so grateful for that example. So I grew up in Canton, not too far away. Graduated from high school there, went on to the University of Michigan. That's actually really where I became an organizer. I was an organizer in a number of issues affecting students of color on campus. And so after I graduated with a degree in psychology and a minor in Asian Pacific Islander American Studies, I decided, you know, organizing is kind of my thing. I think I'm just going to keep doing this. I think I switched like the idea of what I wanted to do like 5 times during my senior year. I graduated without really knowing exactly what I was going to do. I actually contacted the One United Michigan campaign, or at that time it was Michigan United, not the Michigan United that exists now, but Michigan United that was educating people about affirmative action. The first Michigan United, you know, it wasn't completely for certain yet, but we knew that Ward Connolly was going to be coming to Michigan, that he was going to bring an anti-affirmative action ballot proposal, and we were not going to have any of that. So I contacted Tricia Stein, who was the director. I was like, I'm interested in helping out. So I started helping out. I was working part-time, trying to figure out what I was doing, and you know, I helped out a lot, and eventually it turned into a job. And so I worked as an organizer in that campaign, organizing coalitions in 5 different counties and a number of different constituency groups. And with Brandy, we organized a bunch of students on campuses to advocate and to really mobilize opposition to Proposal 2 in 2006. Although we lost, in some ways we won because we really brought together a lot of coalitions, and it's been actually really amazing to see when I go back to Flint or I'm in touch with folks in some of the areas that I worked in, people are now working together that hadn't worked together before. We brought together diverse coalitions across the aisle, and I'm so proud of the work that we did, despite the outcome on Election Day. And we are awaiting a decision from the Supreme Court about... That election day was not a fun night. But it was that night actually that I decided, you know, I'm going to stay in Michigan. Originally I had thoughts about, okay, maybe I'll do grad school now, maybe I'll go somewhere else and come back. I decided, you know what? Michigan has a lot of issues. I think I can stay here and then work on some things here. And so I stumbled upon an amazing opportunity with the ACLU of Michigan to work on indigent defense reform. It was on no one's radar. I mean, it was on a few people's radar. The folks who are entrenched in it every day and know how broken our public defender system is here in Michigan. But it was, as far as, I mean, we talked to any legislator that year, most of them really had no idea how bad our system really was. So my role with that at the ACLU, and eventually it turned into the Campaign for Justice. We built a coalition, again, across the aisle of individuals who came together to say, you know what, this is an issue of fairness. We need to make sure that people, no matter how much money you have, no matter where you live in the state, everyone deserves adequate representation. And I actually want to recognize a special friend of mine who's here today, Ruth Harlan. You can stand. Actually one of the reasons why I think, you know, I kept going with the Campaign for Justice. Ruth is the sister of Eddie Joe Lloyd. Anyone heard of Eddie Joe Lloyd? Okay, that's a problem. We're gonna fix that tonight. Okay, so Eddie Lloyd was a man that I never met, but from hearing about him from Miss Harlan, I just know that he was a really kind soul. Eddie Lloyd spent 17 years in prison for a crime that he did not commit. And it was because of the inadequate representation that our system allowed that he was allowed to sit in prison for 17 years. It wasn't until 2001? 2002 that he actually, with the help of the Innocence Project in New York and a number of lawyers, including Saul Green here in Michigan, that he was exonerated using DNA evidence. There was evidence that the defense attorney had never investigated, never brought to court. This attorney spent like $150 building his case and didn't present any defense witnesses. This was ridiculous. It was a horrible injustice. And so it was stories like that that really made me want to work harder for justice and to make sure that we can prevent these injustices from happening in the future. It's hard to not... the campaign for justice actually was successful. It's so great what was actually successful in getting some legislation passed that brings about long overdue changes to our public defender system here in Michigan. It puts in place a commission that will promulgate standards that actually make sure that, you know what, you need to have a caseload that allows you to actually represent your client well. Make sure that attorneys are paid adequately for the work that they're doing, that they have the access to resources and training that are required to actually build a solid defense. Some of you also are familiar with the work that I've done in the Asian American community. While Detroit doesn't have a huge Asian American population, we're growing. We're the fastest growing population in the States. But actually, it's been an amazing experience building this group to what it exists today, and that Teresa Tran is now leading so excellently. API Vote Michigan is a civic engagement organization that didn't exist. How long ago? When did we start? We started in 2007. So we've done a lot of voter engagement work, a number of election cycles now. Election protection, advocating on immigration reform, voting rights, redistricting, a lot of different things. And so I'm really proud of the work that I've done there. I'm really proud to say that I've been a part of the team that put together the James and Grace Lee Blog School.
Stephanie came on as a social work intern, as a community organizer to help in that work. And we didn't exactly know what that work would look like for Stephanie yet, and we decided that we were going to sit down and we were going to figure it out together. And very quickly, Stephanie stepped in and realized how overwhelmed we were in just trying to figure out how to get a school off the ground, and we knew we wanted to be rooted in a community. And Stephanie right away knew that one of her skill sets was to be able to go into a community and organize people around a cause. She made sure that she organized volunteers who were committed to the cause of the Blog School. She got volunteers to actually go out and knock door to door and canvass and make sure that people knew who we were and what our cause was. And our cause was to be accountable to the community in which we were in. And it took us 3 years to find a building. And so Stephanie had to regroup a number of times. When we thought we were going to be here, so Stephanie rallied this neighborhood. And then we thought we were going to be here, so Stephanie rallied this neighborhood. And then 7 weeks before we opened, we found this building, and we had 7 weeks to get it ready for kids. And Stephanie jumped in, and with the volunteers that she had amassed over the last year, we had 100 people come and help us over the 7 weeks that we needed to open the school to get the building ready. And we also canvassed the neighborhood and let parents know who we were, why we were there, and what we wanted to do for the neighborhood. And in 10 weeks of being open in the school, we have an active parent group. We have active volunteers who come every day on a set schedule that Stephanie has organized. We have a family resource room that is staffed and has a resource library for parents. Parents feel comfortable coming in using the school, and this is exactly the vision and mission of the school, and Stephanie made that happen.
You know, when we were going door to door in the neighborhood 2 months before the school was supposed to open, we met a number of kids and a number of families in the neighborhood. I'm not sure if I've lots of these kids' names. No, okay. Well, I met C and A, and they were these amazing students who came to the school every day during the summer because they wanted to help. I couldn't always come up with things for them to do, but when we were getting the playground ready, they pulled some weeds, they were there all the time, and I think the reason they were so excited, and the reason their families were so excited, is because they have seen neighborhood school after neighborhood school close. But they've seen schools close. They've seen the impact that it has on their community. We are making sure that what the kids are learning is related to what's actually going on in their lives. Imagine that. So we're using this model called place-based education. A big reason why I decided to run was because, our schools are failing. I'm so proud to be part of the Bog School, a school that is setting a new example. I really want to make sure, as I'm making policy in Lansing in 2015 and beyond, that we're doing more to make sure that every child has a quality education.
It was interesting because it was the day of my election at Chrysler Elementary School, and there was a spark. And I saw Stephanie, and I'm busy, I'm nervous about my election, and Stephanie was there. I remember you got up at 4 in the morning, was doing we call it Operation Lawn Sign. We'll talk about that later. But it is amazing. We don't steal any lawn signs, we just put a ton of them out there. But Stephanie was talking to a senior citizen, and some little spark. Do you remember me going up to you and saying, you should do this? And you don't remember, I don't know, you were really tired. But it was that moment, there was a spark to it. And I think Jillian was right, it was a sincerity. And that she really cared about the person she was talking to. And I gotta tell you, something came about me and I was like, God, because everybody, as soon as you file your third term, they're like, who's gonna replace you? Who is it? Rashida, you gotta mentor someone. And Stephanie it was just really, really amazing to see her interact with our residents and our neighbors.
And that's why I'm 100% committed to supporting her on her run for state representative. Our district, minus District 6, use District 6, go D6, but they overlap. I think about 50% of it overlap, so we'll be serving the same constituency. And so I'm excited to think of the possibility I have to work with her at the state level and me being at the city level. And I can't imagine, besides Rashida, who's back here, who encouraged us both to run, I can't imagine working with anybody else besides these two women in the room, because I know they're both, again, committed to the community, committed to the residents, and committed to really helping improve our quality of life. And they're not going to be bought out by lobbyists or special interest groups or be swayed by money.
Am I the right person for this? 2, can I win? And 3, most importantly, can I actually have an impact? And ultimately I decided that the answers to all of those questions was yes. It was a long process of deciding. Sorry that it took so long, but once I decided that I'm all in. And so, I decided to run because I am an organizer and I'm an advocate, and I want to use those skills in Lansing to make an even bigger impact for the communities that we care about and the communities that we live in. I'm so excited to be running. So in terms of what I plan to do, obviously education is something that I'm passionate about. That's something that I want to work on continuously to make sure that we're making sure that every child gets an adequate and quality education, not just adequate. And second, obviously I've worked on reforms to the criminal justice system for a long time, and there are so many barriers when it comes to re-entry, to folks coming back from prison, when it comes to making sure that the systems in place as people go through the court system are fair and make sure that everyone gets an equal shot in court. That's so important, and that's something that I'm committed to working on. Public safety. Public safety. I mean, that's, I don't know I need to say anything about that, except that I think it is. I mean, you just look at the news, and even what's not being reported in the news. There are some serious problems when it comes to neighborhood safety, and I want my kids to grow up in a neighborhood that's safe. I want my kids to go to education, to a school that provides them with a quality education. So all of these things are the reasons why I decided to run, and the things that will remind me every single day in Lansing and in the district why it's so important. So I'm really committed to all of those issues, but as Rashida mentioned, it's also about service. And so I am committed to continuing the Neighborhood Service Center. I'm really excited about continuing that legacy and making sure that residents are getting connected to services. And I've never done anything with taxes before, but I'll learn how to do it. And I've got some ideas about ways that we can involve young people. I want to start a fellowship for high school students at some of the neighborhood high schools to make sure that we're building a pipeline of young, progressive women of color to get into policymaking.